Hey everybody, welcome to the Outdoor Line podcast. I've got with me today Tyler Cooper. He's a consistent big buck killer here in Missouri. Known Tyler for a few years. We haven't really talked very much, but I've known who he was just because I see a picture of him holding a big deer every year. I've had Kylie Harpster on the podcast a couple times. He's good friends with Kylie, just because the same thing. They're always killing big bucks. But we're here this morning or this afternoon to talk about some shed hunting. I actually went on a little shed hunt this morning, put just over 10 miles on, and found this horn this morning. Found a couple other smaller ones as well, but that was kind of the highlight of my morning. But yeah, man, what's your shed hunting plans for the year?
Oh, I mean, like they say, miles for piles. I think that's truly is a key. I like and I dislike this cold snap we really had this last 2 weeks, I'd say.
Sure.
When we have weather like that, I think it's awesome shed hunt. It makes for awesome shed hunting because deer like to conserve their energy. So between bedding and food is not a very long distance.
Right.
And I find a ton of them, within 200 yards of the edge of a field, or waterways are great. You got that type of country. So, I mean, I'm probably going to start there, but I still have a few cameras out, and there's still plenty of deer that are holding. And now that we have this warm weather, it usually makes for really hard shed hunting, in my opinion, because it can be so random. They'll start hitting pastures that green up. So I'll probably start with the easy stuff, field edges, waterways. And then once I really know they're dropped, I'll get into like the timber and bedding areas, and I try to, save those.
Sure. You don't want to bump deer out and really change their patterns up and stuff. Yeah, so this morning there's a cut bean field, right? Just bean stubble, I don't know, a couple 100-acre field. And I put a lot of miles on and found those. Felt like I would find more. I actually saw a bunch of deer feeding in that field, that one specifically, and that's kind of why I targeted it. I thought, I'll get in there early too. Just I can always hit it again a little later if I feel like it. I'd like to match this guy up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How many miles do you usually put on a year? We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, I try to shoot for at least 100, 100 to 150, which sounds like a lot, but like you said, you did 10 miles a day, so
yeah,
that's just 10 days worth on a good day.
Right.
I got a 4-year-old son that's with me all the time. He just turned 4. The last 2 years I've been hauling around in a backpack, and this will probably be the last year I can do it. So
getting
that
too heavy.
Yeah, getting too heavy, but he's still old enough that he falls down a lot. So
right.
That'll be interesting. It'll be a workout for me, I guess. But
how many? So 100 miles a year. How many sheds you probably averaging every year?
So I've never had. Well, to me, I've never had like a killer year. My best year was 51. Average I'd say between 20 and 40. And that's, I guess, you can look at different ways. Sometimes if you go with 10 guys and we find 30, I just count what I found,
sure,
not 30. So
sure.
Last year we went on a walk with me and my buddy, and we found 16 in an hour. That was
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was in the spot there.
Yeah, but he found more than I did, so the numbers didn't help me that much, but it didn't matter.
Right.
It was, 2 match sets. It was a good walk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome. And so I'm similar, probably not as many miles. I shed hunt when I can find time, so maybe it's for 2 hours after work, whatever it is, maybe a couple hours in the morning on the weekend. And I usually end up between 40 and 50 miles a year is what I end up putting on. I keep track, and that's just where I kind of come out. And by March, when I'm over it, that's where I end up. But I'm probably between 15 and 25 sheds a year. That's, I think on one good year, I was there in the low 20s, typically probably around 20. This year, I got 3 on the board this morning, so that was a good start for me anyway. And like you said, some spots are better than others. I had access to this one like 300-acre farm in a good area, kind of got high deer numbers. And I think on my 4-wheeler driving around, I found like 14 or something. I found a 74-inch side. Like,
jeez,
just an excellent. I was like, heck yeah, this is great, And then you go back somewhere else and start walking, and you walk 5 miles and find one. It's like, well, something I try to do to keep myself going is you can't compare yourself to other people's shed seasons, because there are farms out there that are just loaded with deer, and they drive through their big food plots and there might be 5 laying out in their food plot.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to be realistic with what you're working with.
Yeah, we're not all shed hunting highly managed, intense, big acreage farms,
Right. That's right. And one thing I think that makes a difference is just deer density, deer numbers. And generally where I'm shed hunting, it's low deer numbers. So I try to, like a lot of people would say, well, how many, like measure yourself in sheds per mile. But I do like the opposite. How many miles have I put in to find this many sheds? Because you'll end up with way more miles than sheds, basically, when you're hunting those low deer numbers.
Always. And like we said at the very beginning, the weather makes a big difference. Like last year was pretty cold and that's what I think really helped that 16 shed day was they were all within 200-300 yards of a cornfield that had a ton of corn in it. I mean,
right.
So
just all the dots connected there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to find those spots that the dots do connect. Like,
yeah. And they're not the same every year. That's the thing about it that really kind of is good, but sucks. You can't just be like, yeah, I know I'm going to go here and find a bunch.
I've got a pin right here. We're going to go find some. It doesn't really work that way. And there's always a handful of sheds that just make me wonder, like, why did I find one here? Like, what's this deer doing here? I wasn't I wanted to look there because maybe you don't want to miss something, but you just wouldn't really expect it. Another thing I think is tough is, like, as far as agriculture, there isn't much crops get left on the ground.
No.
New equipment's very efficient.
It is.
Doesn't leave beans laying out, doesn't leave corn anywhere. It's hard to concentrate on a good food source when there's nothing left, it seems like.
Yeah. And then, on the opposite, if you do have a really early green up, that's when like pastures and hay fields can be really good. Sure. But the problem is they start growing so fast that your sheds get covered up pretty quick. So
right. It was funny. Your buddy Andrew, or our buddy Andrew, he mentioned he thought that black locusts, he said this is a shed hunting tip. He said, like, when things start to green up, he said around black locusts green up a little sooner than some other areas. He thought from nitrogen in the ground or something. He said he's found some in black locusts, and he thinks that's why, like deer that dropped late and they're in there feeding on that first green up. I don't know. I looked in a bunch of black locusts today. Of course, it's early, right? But
yeah.
I didn't find nothing.
That's like the theory that if you see like a Mylar balloon, there's an antler around. Never once have I found one.
Yeah, I've heard that lots of times, and it's kind of a joke, right? But there actually was a point on one of my dad's piece of properties in the black locust stand. He was riding the 4-wheeler one day and saw a balloon, and he's like, "Oh, I always hear that. I'm going to drive over there." And sure enough, within like 20 yards of that balloon, there was a shed there of a pretty nice deer. Like, just completely, just coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Like, probably had nothing to do with anything. Just happened to be that way. It's kind of funny. When you're shed hunting, are you looking for certain deer? Like, do you have on your mind? I mean, you track a lot of deer all year long, keep track of them. So are you like, I really want to find this deer shed?
Yeah, I always have, a set or two that I really want to find. Rarely when I have an actual target deer do I don't even actually think I have ever found the match set. But really? I'm usually lucky enough to find one. So it kind of gives me an idea if that deer's what I thought it was or not.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, obviously certain farms are different. Sometimes if, like you were talking about density, if I know it's a high density farm and there's nothing that really stood out there that year, I'm just looking for antlers.
Right. Just numbers game and just trying to get more.
And I'm sure, like, maybe not like everybody, but the bigger the antlers. So sometimes you get focused on looking for stuff like that. And I feel like I probably missed some, which doesn't really hurt my feelings, but, missed some of those smaller. I don't think I'm a great shed hunter by any means. I think it's just a lot of time out there.
Me either. So today, the first shed I saw, cut bean field. I was kind of walking waterways, and that's just kind of a good spot to find them. And I witnessed right before dark deer feeding around there. So like that's kind of where I started. And I'd walk down this waterway, sun to my back, which is kind of how you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. Sun to your back, kind of have your advantage. And then you can't walk that direction all the time, right? You got to walk into the sun eventually.
Yeah.
And so I walked down one side of the waterway, turned, and I actually cut off like the last 100 yards of it close to the road. I'm like, I don't need to go down there. And I turned and walked back into the sun. And then I got on this next fence row and was walking down this fence row, and I was probably 200 yards from that waterway. And with my bare eyes could see what looked to be a shed laying over there. and I glassed it up, and it sure looked like 2 tines sticking up. I was like, I just walked 50 yards from that and didn't notice it. I had my dog with me, and I kind of got her finding sheds, so I used that as a training opportunity. I got downwind of it, and I ended up letting her find it. But I'd walked 50 yards from that shed in a cut bean field. How I didn't see it, it was because I was too focused on the waterway, and I was also walking into the sun at that point, and just kind of proved to me like having the sun on your back was super helpful, and reminded me always look behind you.
Yes, and bring binos. The glass, you said, I get mad if I ever go on a whim and don't have them with me because I just automatically feel like I'm missing
I get mad if I don't have them in my vehicle.
Yeah.
Like I just always have a pair of binos with me. But they save you a lot of steps.
Absolutely.
I'm picking them up all the time. Some 40 yards away even. Like, that could be an ailer. Let me look. I'm not going to walk over there, but save some steps to try to identify it before you get there. And then, so this shed, actually, I just glassed up. I was in this bean field trying to cover some ground, rather than grid searching the whole thing. I kind of was on a high point and just started scanning with my binos, and very clearly could see that. And I could tell he had a big old brow tine and had a long beam. I was like, oh my gosh, look at that shed. And I, again, tried to get my dog on it. And you ever shed hunting with a shed dog?
I haven't.
So my dog Timber, she's almost 2 years old now. She's not a very high drive dog, which is fine. I like that. She's calm. She doesn't freak out. But after about 2 miles of shed hunting, she's wore out and just follows me around.
Yeah.
So when I do spot one, I gotta encourage her, go look, get out there, get away from me, go look. And finally she, got pretty close to it and smelled it and turned and grabbed it. But she doesn't have a lot of drive to just get out there and run. When
I have a really high strung yellow lab. He's my duck dog, but he is the opposite. He's everywhere all the time. Doesn't stop.
It's kind of what you need as a shed dog. There's some thick brush or whatever that I don't want to crawl through, and I'd really wish she'd just get over there. And she's just following me, tripping me, following me so close she hits my heels when I'm walking. She just gets tired and over it. But I still try to make her pick them up, and she usually does. But it's been fun having a shed hunting dog. Gets me out there a little more.
Every year I always wish that my dog was a shed hunting dog instead of a duck dog this time of year.
Right. I've kind of got her doing both, and I started with sheds. You can't put the drive in her. I'm not going to be able to get that. She does know when she does find one to pick it up and bring it to me. So that was the goal. But it definitely gets me outside more. Just encourages me to go shed hunting and watch her work. And I don't know. I guess in turn it's made me find a few more sheds. So you got any other hot tips for shed hunting?
I don't know about tips, but I would say, as we were just talking about how often we miss them, I think I catch myself. I don't know about everyone else, but I catch myself looking not close. I don't ever look close. And I feel I'm always 20, 30 yards scanning. I feel like I don't miss a lot, but I do think I miss something. If it's not obvious, I feel like I probably miss some stuff that's close to me.
Sure. That makes sense.
I think I go too fast sometimes, so I don't think it ever hurts to slow down because you want to cover so much ground.
Right.
But the faster you do it, the more chances of missing something. You said you walked 50 yards within that one, and or not the other shed.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah, that's a good point. And I noticed today too. I covered so much ground. I was hunting wide open stuff. There's kind of a difference. You really got to slow down. You're in the timber. You're in the bedding areas. You got to slow down, pick those apart, do some zigzagging to make sure you're covering it. But in the wide open, you can kind of cover some ground and really.
I really like. I usually use the tracker on my OnX to kind of know that I gridded it as good as I thought I wanted to. And then your stereotypical shed hunting tips of south facing slopes and stuff. And we just flew a drone today to do a herd count on that farm that I was on earlier, and almost everything was on south and west facing slopes.
I bet that's cool to see.
So,
south slopes is always one that's common. And then you did mention too hunting on cloudy days.
Yep.
And I agree with you. Things they're so much easier to see on a cloud covered day, on an overcast day.
I guess I don't know what it is really, but they glow almost.
Yeah, and today it was sunny, right? Bright sunny, no cloud in the sky, and that's why I picked to hunt the open stuff, because you can almost use the sun to your advantage.
Especially, at your back.
If you get the sun to your back, I mean, they shine. But if you're I got in the timber a little bit and was kind of in some bedding stuff, and it's tough. There's a lot of shadows, and
it almost just makes you mad because you know how good it is when it's overcast.
Yeah, it's like, man, I just feel like I can't see as good in here as I want to be able to. But yeah, I always take advantage of those cloudy days. Like I'll shed hunt in the rain sometimes, just because it's a Saturday and I got time to shed hunt and it's cloudy. And even in the rain, like sometimes they shine a little bit. But this morning, two of these were tines up, which is like a telltale sign to look for, right? Tines sticking up. And then another one I found was tines down. So like I saw this shape, the curve of a main beam. And it was funny, I was walking in some stuff, and I know deer use this area, but I hadn't bumped any deer, and I thought that was odd. And I'm walking along and spotted something, and like 4 or 5 does got up. I'm like, oh, finally run into some deer. And I look down, and 10 yards in front of me, that shed's laying there. I'm like, they're just in certain spots, and you got to find those pockets. It made sense. Start bumping deer. This is where they're bedding, literally, since it's the middle of the day.
I've had a lot of success, but like ponds, around the edge of ponds or pond dams, especially if it's south facing. But just because this time of year, water's, none of the food has moisture in it.
Right.
So water's a big thing. Obviously, if it's super cold like this and it's frozen, a little bit different. But on those warmer years, I've had a lot of success on ponds. Finding sheds around them.
Sure. I found a buck I killed, actually. I think it was back in 2020. That shed season, the 2020 shed season, I found his shed from the year before in a water hole that I had walked 30 yards from and didn't check that year before. So, like, it was laying there, tine sticking out of the water, and I picked it up. I'm like, that's the buck I already killed. How cool. But
that is cool.
Yeah, water sources can be good. I looked at a few today and didn't find anything, but that doesn't mean anything, right?
I'm amazed, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, but how often I don't find them on crossings. Like, I always think a fence crossing or a creek crossing, you're like, perfect place.
Yes.
I think I can count on one hand the amount of sheds I've found
right.
on a spot like that.
I've found one or two. I found a match set one time. It was exactly what you dream about or what you think should happen, right? He jumped the fence, and there was one laying right there, and 30 yards out in the field, there was the other one. Like, that's how you think it should go all the time, right? And I found 2 others from the road where they'd obviously jumped the fence. You ever found any cool road sheds?
Nothing cool. I've only found a handful, but 2 or 3 road sheds.
Sure.
I got a buddy that found us like a 70-inch road shed.
Really?
On Highway 70.
That's sweet.
Heck of an eye.
Yeah, I found one on 36 running 70, 75 mile an hour, and it was 100 yards off the road. Jeez. There was it's just where it was. There was a kind of a draw. I say 100, maybe it was 75, but there was a fence down there in this ditch way off the road. And just as a outdoorsman, I'm always gawking and looking for whatever, And I just turned real quick and looked down that ditch and thought, I just saw an antler laying by that fence. Had to be. And I pulled over, and, it was just a split second. And I backed up, and I kept looking. I'm like, man, this doesn't look right. Like, and I got out and was walking along the road, and I hadn't backed up far enough. And sure enough, there it was laying down there. It was probably a 60-inch side. It was it was a really nice deer. Like the best one I found that year was off the highway. But yeah, you miss some. There's sheds along the road everywhere too.
Oh yeah, I always wondered, which obviously there's no way of ever knowing, but how many sheds you walk right by in a season?
Yeah,
I bet you we find probably maybe not even 50, but 50% of what we're actually.
Probably. Yeah. Like you walk and you're like, oh, I got this covered, and then you're like, well, if it was laying in that bush, I would not see it. You almost. Unless you cover every inch, you're gonna miss some.
Yeah, and sun, if it's you can't every day you go can't be cloudy, can't be overcast.
That's right. So if you're gonna get 100 miles in, you're gonna have to pick some days that aren't perfect.
Yeah. So it's
And the squirrels eventually can get to them too. I mean, there's a lot of things working against you.
yeah. I mean, and I didn't believe it for a long time, but there's actually finally some trail cameras and stuff, with coyotes and stuff having them, and I was like, I guess it makes sense. It's just hard for me to believe that they're dragging a shed around.
Sure, but yeah, they could. Kind
That's
of
what I blame all those match sides. I can't find them. Coyotes.
right. Coyote picked them up, packed them off. And another thing working against you is all the bucks of sheds of the caliber that you'd be interested in picking them up. A lot of them got killed. Like, you could have a lot of trail camera pictures, but just inevitably those good deer are getting killed too. So numbers are low, right?
Yep.
By that time of the year, and yeah, there's just a lot of things against you. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You just can't get discouraged though. Like,
I was gonna say the biggest thing is just to have a mindset that you're out there. You find some's a good day. You not, you're out there anyways.
Yeah. And just what keeps you going is you never know.
Right.
I mean, just like this deer, I don't know this deer. I run some cameras kind of in that area, never seen him. But I made that 10-mile walk absolutely worth it this morning. I mean, that's probably the best shed I'll find all year. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it's a sweet shed. He's got a cool base too. Looks like, I don't know if it's an injury or what he's got
yeah,
going on. But
it does look
swollen.
like, you're right. It looks like it's swollen right there, like it was an injury. He had a little point back here, broke off. Split 2.
He's got a lot of character, yeah.
Yeah, I should have measured that beam too. I mean, he's got a lot of beam past his G3 there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's why you go. You never know what you're going to pick up. I've tried to find certain deer too, and I've found 1 or 2 here on my home farm that were deer I was not after. I just had pictures of them, knew they're in the area.
And those are always cool ones to find if something ever happens. I mean, it's kind of like the deer that we were talking about. It was cool to find a shed because I knew the deer, but I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see this deer next year. But
right. Yeah, I like the history. I mean, you run as many trail cameras as you do, and I run a lot too. And like, you keep track of deer, and when you got the right mindset, you remember that stuff, and you know exactly what deer it is when you pick a shed up. So it's cool to see that. Like I found one here a couple of years ago here at this farm that I was pumped to see this deer the next year. I mean, he was not impressive, but he had a lot of character, and I was real excited to see him. And he did. Yeah, he was 140 as an 8-pointer that next year as a 4-year-old, and I was gonna pass him, and the neighbor ended up killing him. I was like, dang it! I really wanted to. I also don't want to give him my shed either.
Yeah, I haven't ran into that, but I've known quite a few people that have killed a big deer that someone has the shed off of, and they won't give it up. And I'm like, I get it, I guess, but if you didn't kill it, so yeah. But I haven't been in that situation either. So
yeah, I don't know. If it was a buddy, I'd do it.
Yeah,
but then you'd want somebody to do it for you too. So that's kind of being hypocritical, I guess. But
yeah, I hope he doesn't have any sheds of a deer you kill.
Right? Yeah, no kidding. How many sheds? We talked about missing. I'm like, how many just giant sheds do you think are out there that just don't get found every year?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I always thought about that because, well, I mean, going along with all the big deer that I've wanted to find and never finding their match side, you just scratch your brain. It's like
you're probably putting in more work than a lot of guys around are to find them.
Yeah, especially once you find that, and then you just start racking your brain. Did someone pick it up off the road? Did I just miss it?
Sure.
It's like, where is this? So, I mean, I can tell you at least 50% of all the big ones I've found are out there.
I think about it a lot, like out west too. Like there's big mule deer, big elk that people haven't even laid eyes on ever, maybe, and it's just how many just big sheds are just laying there and will just rot, never be seen.
Especially out there. I mean, I guess it's probably just as likely here. It just doesn't seem like it, but yeah, if it falls in a creek, or I always wonder how many fall in a pond and are completely covered up.
Right. I wonder that about deer too. Like I've just lost some deer. Like one I felt like was EHD, and just I walked trying to find him because he was a good deer and never found him. Just some deer drop off the radar, and you're like, man, what are they laying at the bottom of a pond or something? I got a buddy that found a big one back in college. He just seen like 2 tines sticking up out of the water. It was like a 170-inch deer.
Jeez.
Just, saw that. He's like, that's an antler, and grabbed it, and it was just this absolute mega.
That's what I know. He's a friend of a friend, but they were both out in Kansas turkey hunting on public, and he found 185 and like 160-inch deadhead locked set in the creek.
Oh, wow.
Called the warden and he's got it. It's super badass.
Yeah, I bet. That'd be awesome.
I was like, well, at least it's like perfect scenario. It's another state that you don't hunt.
Right.
It's public.
I believe I'd be going hunt there the next.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's good deer in that area.
Yeah, good genetics at least.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, you kind of talked about your walk this morning. You want to talk about your consulting business you got going on?
Sure. So I'll just touch on it really quick because, this is my first year getting into it, and kind of just had some downtime. So I figured I'd test the waters, but starting to do some whitetail consults. I've only done 2 or 3 this year, but really just meeting with landowners that obviously want to kill bigger deer or want to grow bigger deer. This one this morning, they have big caliber deer that they see every year. They just want to kind of be a little bit more efficient. So, we walked the ground, we drove, all of their main trails and got out and kind of showed them what I look for. And then I'll go back and obviously I dropped a bunch of pins and everything else, and I'll make maps of where I would recommend and where I would run cameras, entry and exit routes and stuff like that, possible stand locations. This particular landowner was not, big on food plots and stuff like that. He wanted to go the native forage way and, a lot of warm season grasses and actually pollinator like native prairie, it's a really cool farm. Tons of turkeys.
I bet.
But traditionally, food's a big thing, and have food plot designs in that map. And
yeah, food's a big part of typical strategy.
Yeah.
Especially in the Midwest.
Screening routes, if they shoot a bunch of box blinds, warm season grass screen, stuff like that, and kind of roll all that in and give that to you, and obviously stay in touch and help you try to kill a big deer.
Sure.
So,
and you're doing this, or you're able to do this because you've got the resume to back it up. I mean, I'll just say it. You're pretty humble, but you've killed a lot of big deer, and
yeah, I mean,
you're doing it consistently, and that speaks some value there.
Yeah, I think, and that's where I was kind of nervous to do it because obviously there's a lot out there, and I'm not trying to be the next Don Higgins,
Sure.
But I don't have a 200-inch deer under my belt. But yeah, I've killed some in the last 6 years. Every year I've killed a deer over 160, and every single one of them have been mature deer.
Right, and like we were talking earlier, that's not luck.
Yeah. Luck is a product of hard work.
Sure.
Sure. So I put a lot of time in, and I don't like to think that I'm a big buck killer because I know next year I could not have a big deer to chase.
Sure, it can happen. Yeah.
But I have been blessed the last few years and have been able to put enough things together that I feel like I can help other people do that.
Right.
So
absolutely. I mean, I think you've got a knowledge set that obviously speaks to killing big bucks, and whatever. If you can make a little money off that and help some other people, it's worth doing, I think.
Right.
And it's doing what you love. So.
Exactly. I just looked at it as, if it takes off, great. And if not, I get there's a lot of other people doing it. May have better or worse resumes than me, however it goes. But I was just kind of testing the waters. And so far, it's fun, and I really hope it doesn't explode because I want it to stay fun. And it seems like every time something becomes real work, it's not as fun, like taxidermy. I do that on the side and started out doing like 10 or 15 heads, and now I'm up to 40. And
and now if I kill one, I'm going to bring it to you. So,
so
I didn't know that.
But it's something to add to do, and it's the perfect time of year to be doing it because the sign's still there from the rut. You got a lot of good trail systems, and a lot of people that don't have the time, that have these big farms that want to do it, don't want to be out there walking through all this stuff.
Right.
And some people just want to hit the easy button, and I get it. And it could be because they don't have time or they just don't want to put in the time, whatever. But the one thing we all have in common is we all want to kill big deer, know. So
that's for sure. Well, that's cool. How could people get a hold of you?
Right now, you can get on Facebook, or I don't know if we can add like my number or something at the end of this.
Good, if you want
to.
YouTube. Sure. Put it in the comments or something.
Yeah. I guess if they're listening to just the audio, my cell phone's 636-699-5814. Obviously, I have a full-time job, so if you do try to reach out to me or something, just leave me a message, or you can text me and get back to you.
We're mostly North Missouri, right? That's kind of what you're focused on.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to get that point, but I'm not terribly far from Kansas. So Kansas, Iowa. I think those people are probably going to run into someone before they get to me, but
Sure, someone closer.
But it's all the same habitat, and I'd be more than happy to do it because, again, I love seeing these properties, and especially if we can make them into something special. It's just cool to be a part of. So
Right. And just for your benefit, I think you probably learned some stuff too, seeing these other properties.
Absolutely. Just hunting Kansas this year, my first year hunting Kansas, and it's similar, but it's completely different at the same time. And I saw a lot of good deer. I missed a giant.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, probably 170-inch 8-pointer.
Oh, man.
About 35 yards. I shot right over top of him on Thanksgiving. So, but yeah, so that was cool. But yeah, got to see some stuff, and that really weighed on my mind. I was excited to see a deer of that caliber, and I really wasn't that upset after the scenario, but the more I got to thinking about it, I was just like, man, I failed out in Kansas. And then I'm like, well, I only hunted a handful of days and passed a lot of deer.
If you got within bow range of a 170-inch deer, that's a success.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, I grew up hunting down in the Ozarks in Missouri. So, a big timber is not foreign to me either.
Big timber's hard to hunt.
It is. And I think it teaches you a lot about deer behavior. Because, their travel routes are just different up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Easier.
Yes.
Up here.
Absolutely. It's kind of the best of both worlds. They're easier to hunt, and they grow bigger up here. So
yeah, southern Missouri and whatever, all the Ozark areas, I think got it rough. I went to school in Rollo, so I bow hunted down there for 4 years, and it's just tough.
It's very
I felt
tough.
like I didn't know what I was doing.
I always joke around, and I tell people, I said, I think the deer, which this might offend some people, so I don't mean it to, but I said, I think the deer are dumber in the South, but harder to kill because they have more advantages, and they're smarter up here because they live in so much open country.
I can see that.
So it still makes, those mature deer hard to kill, but yeah, you pick up a gun up here and you can see 300 yards. It's not hard to go kill a deer.
Right. That's right. And a lot of the hunting I did when I was down there, the farm set up similar to a farm up here would. It wasn't just big rolling oak timber. Mm-hmm. So I had an advantage there. It was a little easier for me. I was hunting field edges and scrape lines and stuff. But yeah, if you're just hunting a big block of timber, it's not that easy.
Yeah, you really need to learn. You grow up with woodsmanship and learning how to read the terrain, because if you can find a good shelf or something down there, those deer will run it really hard, and you learn a lot about thermals.
Right.
Bottoms are about worthless in the evenings unless you got the right spot, with a creek or something like that. But it's tough, but it definitely helped a lot. But you almost have to relearn it when you come up here. It's just
right. Just completely different.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at that thing. Slide that thing over here and tell me about it.
I don't know. You know your camera better than
me.
Not
really. It'll be fine.
That is this year's bow kill. Well, one of them. I killed him October 7th. I've got 3 years of history on him, and a lot. I feel like going back to big deer, I've been blessed. This is my second deer that I've killed of this caliber early in the season. But a lot of people are like, oh, you have this magic farm. This farm's 80 acres. It's not a big farm. It is surrounded by other farms that don't have a ton of pressure, which I think is a key. I want to kind of get that up front, because the deer I killed last year he was 185, but that was a 700-acre farm. So, that's big.
Yeah, that's a big farm.
But this one is, to me, a realistic size farm.
And guess what? You didn't go back and hunt the 700-acre farm.
No. You would be amazed at the difference from year to year on that.
You were hunting the small parcel because that's where the big bucks were.
Yes.
Not because it was a big parcel.
Right, exactly. To kill big deer, you have to have big deer or find big deer.
Sure.
That's
and kind of like you were saying earlier, a farm rarely has a big deer every year.
Right. We kind of get tunnel vision with seeing these guys, the Drurys, and like Lee Lukoski, which they're doing everything you physically can.
Sure, they're all in on what they're doing,
and they do have big deer every year. But even realistically, you look at Mark Drury, and there's years where he doesn't kill a 190, which is the truth, and people somehow get blindsided by that and think it's not real life. But, yeah, just rarely are you going to have the same farm produce year after year. There are some crazy, awesome rut farms that you're pulling deer from multiple farms, and you could probably have, pretty good success annually.
It's not a deer that's living there. It's a deer that just what happens during the rut happens, and you get lucky and have that good rut stand that catches a lot of travel or whatever.
And then you have everyone that argues, well, I got a farm like that every deer. I'm like, well, the caliber of deer are a little bit different, at times. But to each their own. As long as you're happy shooting it, great. But anyways, I got way off topic.
That's all right.
So this deer is kind of a funny story. In 2023, had a deer that I called dark chocolate. He had super dark tines, was real heavy, had some character on his brows and his twos. And he was really killable on this scrape, but I had a different deer that I was waiting to show up. He was just a giant typical. I got a shed off of him, and he never did. But anyways, dark chocolate kind of disappeared for the year, and I wrote him off. Well, the following year, this deer showed up in the same spot, and I was like, that might be him. I don't really think it is, but as the year kind of progressed and I looked back and forth, it definitely wasn't. But that other deer, the original dark chocolate, never showed up, so we just started calling him DC. We'll come to find out afterwards, I did have pictures of this deer in 2023, and it was definitely not the same deer because he was a 3-year-old with a double main beam. And
yeah, you showed me those pictures. Had a double main beam and was broke off.
Yep.
At the one picture you showed me.
And he had a really weird forehead patch. I want to say blonde, gray, whatever.
Just noticeable.
Yeah.
Like you could just say that his forehead looks weird.
Yeah.
And you kept track of that.
Exactly. So come, November and later, I kind of was like putting 2 and 2 together. I'm like, I think that's this deer from last year. And started looking at pictures like, yes, it is. And he was not, I don't really want to sound like arrogant or anything, but he was run of the mill,
Grab that shed.
Yeah. I mean, an average size deer. He had good mass.
Yeah.
But short tines, short beams.
140-inch
pointer. Yeah. I mean, I think that thing taped out right at like 41 inches or 61 inches. So with a inside spread, he was literally like 140 on the dot.
Right.
And my wife almost killed him because she's like, well, do you want to shoot that deer? I'm like,
glad
if you see him, shoot him. I'm not going to tell you to pass a deer like that.
Right.
It would have been her first buck with a bow. And she actually rattled him in to 20 yards and couldn't get a shot off on him.
No kidding.
And later that night shot a really old 8-pointer. So he was safe. And he was daylighting, all the time in gun season. I'm just like, I wasn't really like, please go crawl in a hole because I didn't think he was going to be much. But at the same time, I was like, I know.
Same time you want to see him live.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Exactly. And I know if I don't say this, I'll get harassed for it. So my buddy Tyler's like, you never know. That deer could be like 160-something next year. And to this, now that I killed him, he's like, I told you he was going to blow up. I just didn't think it was going to be that big.
All right.
But anyways, so yeah, he shed on the farm. I could never find his other side, but I was happy to find the one.
And that year, he was very symmetrical. He was just a straight 10.
Yes. Yeah.
No double beam.
No. That shed, his right side would look just like that.
Yep.
It was a match. Fast forward, found a shed, so I knew he made it from cameras. I had pictures of him the day he shed that, because I had him at like 8 in the morning with one side, this side, and then he came back like 2 hours later, and that side was gone. So I was like, well, it's got to be close. Ended up being 400 yards away.
Really?
It was not close.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a different.
Yeah, you'd think it was like within 100 yards.
Yeah, because late season, you just think deer go to bed in the middle of the day, and then they head out to the fields, and whatever he did, he was either bedding a lot farther or something. But so we get into 2025, and I have this deer show up, and early. I think it was early July, maybe even in late June, but I could see all this going on, and I'm like, man, who is that? That deer is
Right.
heavy. And I had no idea who he was, and I'm like, it could be DC. I don't really know, and as he kind of finished out, like we talked about earlier, this side looked very similar to what he did last year.
Yeah, this side minus the extra beam looked real similar.
Yeah, if you just took his typical tines on that side, I mean, you can even see it, but they're very similar. They got the short two, they look very similar.
Yep.
So I'd convinced myself it was him. But with the summer cape, I couldn't see his forehead. And that was the one thing I told my buddy. I said, as soon as he gets, he starts getting his short hair cape, I will know for sure. But you know how it is if you're trying to figure out, like, he had a notch in his ear, and I was going through all my old pictures. I'm like, I just can't see it. I don't know.
Yeah. It didn't really matter, though, right? I mean,
No.
you were going to shoot him.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know who he is, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I kept telling my buddies, I'm like, he's, probably high 160s. And they're like, no, he's way bigger than that. And I'm like, maybe, but he's one, that, which is insane that caliber of deer. I'm like, I'll be more calm if he's 160s.
Right.
But he started getting really regular early September, and I was like,
really?
Because he was pretty irregular during the summer, and I was like, man, this is going to be tough. But I know from his past history, if I will get an opportunity to shoot this deer. Because there's a little bean pocket on that field that he just was daylighting all the time last year. I mean, hitting scrapes.
That's got to be a good feeling going into that season, just having that history of this deer likes to use this in the daylight.
Oh, yeah. It was my hardest part was trying to convince myself that I had to wait that long, to October, the middle of October when scrapes started going. But I was like, well, if it happens, I know. Because then I just get paranoid. Like, oh, well, maybe he'll go across the road and get shot.
Sure.
Which I know not a lot of people really hunt or bow hunt before October 20th.
Honestly, yeah. I even have a hard time finding the motivation to get out there when it's hot and you're fighting mosquitoes. And but yeah, if you're on one, I have the motivation. Like, if I'm getting,
I mean, that's going to get
pictures
you
of
out
that deer, I'd be out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was just getting regular, and I was like, awesome. Every north wind, he's out here in front of this camera in the corner of those beans with, I mean, it's almost stupid for him to be there where I can go hang. And the first 2 days of the season, so he disappeared like September 7th. Gone. I'm just like, okay, he's going to Shed Velvet. Didn't show back up. So season rolls around. I don't hunt the first 2 days because the wind's wrong. I hunt the 3rd, 4th, and 5th day of the season because I had north wind. Got in there super quiet. It was, I think, the first evening it was even raining that I got in there, and it was supposed to quit. Well, it didn't. Downpoured on me, and I'm like, I never see deer. Every time I sit through the rain, I just get soaked, and that's what I did. But I saw that 4-year-old I was telling you about that was running with him the second sit, so I got kind of excited.
Which is a amazing deer.
Yes, I think he could be something next year.
I mean, he's 160.
Yeah,
this
I
year.
mean, he's a big deer. Yeah, that big, double 3 is.
Yeah.
You got big beams, but
I guess my point is you got to pass deer to get to big deer, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was filming him, so
sure.
And he was actually not even eating beans; he was eating pin oak acorns on the edge of the field. But those 3 days go by, didn't see the deer, and I think the following night or something at like midnight, I got a kind of a shitty picture of him walking past the camera, but I knew it was him because I just have had enough pictures.
You could recognize him, yeah.
I was like, okay, well, he's alive, And then our first cold front came in October 6th, the night of, and I couldn't hunt. That was a Monday because, I don't know, we had obligations, something, and he daylighted right there in the same spot. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh, like that's where I would have been tonight.
At that point, you're like, why is there anything else in the world to do besides be obligated to go deer hunting?
Yeah. So, and, well, like I mentioned to you earlier, with the government shutdown, I'm a government employee, so I was out of work in October. So luckily, because of that,
that's pretty convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great for a lot of things, but
sure.
But I was off that day. So the 7th, I got in there. I kind of had a mental battle in my head to go where that picture was or that little field that I always had him in. And he was in that little field at midnight that night. And I talked myself out of going where the picture was and going into that field because of the history. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and, you know, a lot of people, like, if you're looking at a map, you'd think I'm stupid for going here anyways, because where I'm going, all my scent and even my thermals are just the heart of this wood, like the heart of the woods. And I never really dialed down his bedding area, kind of like, you know, Kylie, he's great at it. But I dialed down where he was coming from, and every time it was from the north.
Okay.
So I was okay to give that up because it was to my southwest. I had a northeast wind.
Be so hard for me to do. Ignore a picture from the night before of where he came out
In the daylight,
and hunt. How far away are we talking?
As the crow flies, it's probably 600 yards.
Oh, even that far.
Maybe 500. I mean, it's farther than it looks. On a map, it doesn't look that far because there's a lot of fingers that run out of that field.
Sure.
But so I get there. On my way in, there's already some scrapes on the field, and I use some of that branch butter stuff. This is the first year I ever tried it. I've used some stuff in the past and just heard a lot of good things about it.
Sure.
No idea if it makes a difference. You know, at this particular point in this story, I don't think it does. But I freshened up like 3 different scrapes on the way in. Literally, I mean, I had walked around the whole field. I might sound stupid, but ground scent, I do not get busted very often. A big rubber boot guy. I'm not a leather boot guy. My boots are always outside. Don't know if any of that stuff matters.
Sure. Something I feel like is how tall the vegetation is.
Yep.
If you're walking through waist-high grass, they're going to pick up more ground scent than if you're on a cut, whatever, mowed path, something like that.
Absolutely. And this was it was a bean field, but they were knee-high beans. I mean, they were terrible beans. They were put in late. So, again, you know, my rubber boots was the tallest stuff I walked through. It was not even that tall. Got in at 1 o'clock. Kind of a funny part.
1 o'clock?
Yeah. So it was hot. I mean, luckily it was the cold front rolled through. So, I mean, it was like 60.
Still, you're in there early.
Yeah.
For October.
Yes.
October 7th. October 7th, I'm hunting after work at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So I got in way early. Obviously, I always hang and hunt, so I'm not a big saddle guy.
Really?
Yeah. Lone wolf guy.
Okay.
I did kill that other deer in a saddle. That was the first deer I've actually killed out of a
I remember
saddle.
seeing that, yeah.
But I had one kind of awkward shooting lane that I was like, I need to really test this out in case this is where I shoot. And I had knocked an arrow and drew back and accidentally touched it off and just shot right into the dirt. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad no one's here to see this, even though I'm telling people.
Glad it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah. And it was good wind that day, so I was at least like, but the knock was glowing bright. I'm like, I probably ought to get down and grab that thing. So I got down, grabbed this arrow that I buried in the dirt, and knocked a new one.
Put that one in the back of the quiver.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there. My buddy's out hunting that other big deer I was telling you about. My wife was out hunting. She was trying to shoot a doe that night. And it's like 7, I think, which I think at that time shooting time was like 7:20 or because it's still early. Anyways, sure. And I get a picture, and it's him, and he's just walking out of the field that he was in daylight yesterday. So I could have killed him there.
Oh, so he was there.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you killed him in this new spot.
So he was in the old spot, you know, where I should have went, where anyone in their right mind would have went.
Where the picture was the night before.
Yeah. But he was headed my direction.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me he popped out of the woods 600 yards in a different spot, right where you were at.
Well, he did.
You're getting there.
Yeah. So he's coming, because the picture I got of him was him coming out of that field into the woods, and it's a good crossing. I'm like, well, he's at least heading my general direction. He could go a lot of ways. So obviously I stood up and bow in hand and everything. And like 15 minutes had gone by, or 10 minutes, whatever, and I'm like, well, he's probably not coming. And I look up.
So it's getting dark.
Yeah. I look up, and he's 40 yards. The little field is only 40 yards across, and he's hitting a scrape. And I'm just like, oh, my God, he looks a lot bigger than I thought he was going to look. And I cut quite a few lanes. That's why I got in so early, because it was windy still, and and I had a big lane to my left, and as soon as he was done, he started like going that way, and I was like, sweet. I ranged it. Well, he'd cut just close enough to me that like these branches, obviously they're all leaf on. I had no shot. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And he gets all the way to my side of the field, and he's like 15 yards, and he stops to make another scrape where there was one.
Had to use this butter stuff on that limb?
Both of them, actually. But again,
He probably would have done it either way.
He did it last year. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but there was a hole, I mean, like the size of his frame. Like there was just everyone says a basketball size hole. And so I took my time, and I was really, it would have been great to have a saddle because I was
to lean
really
out.
Cantered out this way and snuck it in there. It went in, I mean, almost square in his shoulder and then out the armpit because he was quartering to me. He ran 50 yards and flipped over. So, I mean,
awesome. Perfect.
I was losing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always gives you a little more confidence when you watch him fall
Absolutely.
down. Waited for my wife and my buddy to get there before I went down there. And he was just way heavier than,
yeah, he's very heavy. What, 5.5 inch bases probably?
6.5.
6.5. Are they? Yeah, this one's real big, I guess.
Yeah. I think, these two are 6.5, 6 something, and this side. But this one's smallest measurement's 5, so. And these tines were longer than I thought, too.
Yeah, well, that's a 12-inch tine?
Yeah, the 2 and 3 are 12. Yeah. That thing's, depending on where you go, it's so weird.
Sure, yeah.
It's
not
13
normal.
or 14.
I wouldn't know how to score it, really.
Yeah.
Way down there in that crack between the two.
Yeah, so.
Have you had them officially scored? Or
no, so we're in Quest, so we got to wait for the official score. Yeah.
Sure.
So it's just green scored. I mean, my dad was a certified Benner Crockett scorer.
Okay. So you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up scoring deer. But there is at least some questionable tines, like where the base is in this. So it could vary.
Sure.
It's not going to be 5
Yeah, I can see that with these
but
extra brow tines or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So
it's cool deer for sure, man. Absolute giant.
That, I think.
Cool that he threw that double beam back, even though it's different.
Yeah.
It's more like an inline tine than it is a double beam, really.
And that's what's so wild is the deer I killed in 2024 had an inline tine on this side.
Yeah.
That was 12
Very
and a half
similar,
inches.
yeah.
So it's nuts.
Because when he had the double beam 2 years prior, it was more like coming out of the base underneath.
It was kind of like what I would say a stereotypical double beam.
Yeah, this is really more an inline tine, I guess. Either way, it's huge.
And I almost wonder with like these fly holes if it wasn't all just due to something like, you just never know. But for him to be so typical the year before,
I know, for it to be non-typical the year before that, and then throw a perfect typical 10-point frame, and then to throw that. I mean, it just goes to show you, though, put some age on a deer, they can do some cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. And I don't know, if I had that other one up here, his forehead's super wide right here. And he had a scar there, so I don't know if that's like, if it's healed weird.
Sure.
But that was something you could see in all those pictures. It's just kind of, it's odd, but.
Right. And you think he was 5, right?
I think he was 5, I don't see that he was 4. Because the picture I have of him 23, you obviously every deer is different. You might be able to argue he was 2 or 3, but last year he was a horse.
Yeah,
he'd be 3-year-old.
That'd be a hell of a 3-year-old shed.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, you talk about all those deer that'd get 200 inches. They got to be big at that age, but he put on 45 inches. That's a big enough jump for me.
Yeah, and put on 45 inches, but 12 of it was this random. Non-typical point, right?
Yes.
And that's would be closer to a normal jump still, I guess 28, 30 inches, or I don't know, more than that. 33 inches is still a lot here. But
yeah, because just this side.
Yeah, here, hold that up against that.
Yeah, I mean.
That's a big jump in 1 year.
Yeah, just that side. Because this was, like I said, I think it was 61 or 2. Has a 79-inch side, so I mean.
That's a big jump.
The mass is what and unfortunately, but you just can't appreciate it until you hold the deer.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's heavy. Just like I had Kale's deer in here. I mean, you don't I saw pictures of it, like, yeah, dude, that's awesome deer. And you put it in your hands, you're like, oh my gosh, this thing's heavy.
That's like Kylie's deer, that big deer he killed last year's. It's what it reminds me of. Me and him had even kind of talked about it. He's like, it might be as big as that deer when it was in velvet. We were looking at.
Massive, cool. Well, it's like that broken up buck I shot. Yeah. That thing's heavy and it's got half of its rack missing. Like,
yeah,
you're just like, good grief.
Unbelievable.
Like you can't hang it on the wall because it flips over sideways.
Yeah.
But yeah, mass is awesome. Big deer are awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it. I didn't know you were bringing it. I was glad to see it.
Oh, yep. Yeah. And that's what. Well, and that's like that second deer I killed. His frame's huge.
Go grab it. Take your headphones off, grab it. We'll look at it too. We'll be back momentarily. Got a lot of antler here on the table. Oh, he does stand on his own. That's cool. That just shows how far forward he leans.
Yeah, his frame is just big. And like I was telling you, it's almost like he should have twos, like right here. He's
got a lot of
weird
space. Yeah. Looking at them from the side, when their brow tines stick up like behind their G2s, it looks funny.
Yeah.
Like from this view, his brow tines are coming out.
And that deer's body was huge.
You said he was old, right? Like north of 5, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was a 6-year-old.
You had some history with him, too.
Yep. Those third-year pictures with him. He looked identical last year, just a little bit tighter.
Sure. And they do that sometime, too. They don't change much.
Yeah. That's your stereotypical, always an 8 point, Any next year he might have been a 9 or a 6,
Sure. Who knows?
But he was old, and I knew he was going to look big, as dumb as that sounds. So I was like, I would gladly shoot that deer for my second deer,
Right. Get your target deer under your belt. And
yeah.
Did you have other deer that you was also interested in shooting, and you kind of just settled on him, or he was killable, or what was it?
Actually, no. I mean, I had the one deer that my buddy was chasing, and we could both hunt that farm. But obviously, with that deer under my belt, I'm not going to go try and take a deer out.
Kill another one,
him.
Yeah, sure.
Whether or not, not that I could have, but because we always, game plan together, and it was just a very tough deer to hunt and a tough farm. But yeah, so he was really the mature deer I had on camera. I had some others, but he was the bigger mature deer that I had, and he really wasn't that consistent on the farm. I got kind of lucky where I set up. It was a good pinch, and I mean, I killed him the Tuesday of gun season.
With a bow?
Yep.
So you don't rifle hunt at all?
So, disclaimer, I definitely rifle hunt.
Okay.
If I had a deer of that caliber to hunt and I didn't have anything done, I would have a rifle in my hand.
Sure.
But I was kind of riding the high of that and didn't really care if I kill a deer or not. So if I was going to do it. And much like that deer, I fired an arrow before I killed this one too.
On purpose or on accident?
Not on purpose. I missed this deer and smoked a tree.
Really?
Yeah. He was locked down with the doe. They ran into the edge of the field. He started making a scrape. And 2 other bucks came out, and he pushed her right back past me at 20 yards.
And you hit a tree?
Well, the first shot was at 40.
Okay.
They were walking out to the field, and I thought I could clear this limb that I clearly didn't.
But he didn't spook too bad, just stayed with that doe.
They just kind of, they just did what I think stereotypically deer do if they don't know what it was. They just kind of jumped 10 yards and then
looked around, didn't see anything.
Yep.
Went on about their day.
Yeah.
Huh.
I feel like if they get hit with an acorn, they do,
Yeah.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
The areas you're hunting, we kind of talked about this before the podcast. Similar to Kale's motto, or he agrees with this, I think, like you're hunting a lot of different parcels.
Yeah. Now, ironically, these 2 deer were on the same farm.
Sure.
But they're still...
You're covering
a
lot of different parcels.
Yeah. A lot of ground. I mean, not even all in the same county,
Right.
just because it's not easy to get ground, as everybody knows.
Sure, yeah.
That's the hardest part. But, yeah, like I said, to kill a big deer, the hardest part to me is finding them.
Finding them. Once you, yeah.
Not that they're
I've
easy,
always said,
but
if I had a 180-inch deer on my farm, I could kill it too, And it's not the getting him killed, it's the finding one that big.
Yes, and that's where everyone's like, "You're so lucky," and I'm extremely lucky to have those caliber deer to hunt.
But you're putting in some work, dude.
Yeah, I didn't just fall into these farms. I went and worked to get.
Your grandpa doesn't just own this killer farm.
Yeah,
that's what you're putting in the work.
Yeah, we don't own anything. There's one or two that we lease. You call it a lease. We work for them.
Sure.
But I do a lot of I help a lot out with landowners and stuff, and
absolutely.
Just lucky that every year there's a good one to chase, and I'm not talking 180,
right?
But
how many trail cameras you run?
A few. Cell cameras or regular cameras?
Both.
Combined, probably at the peak. Obviously, it varies quite a bit, but probably running like 80 cameras.
A lot to keep track of.
It's not hard.
How do you keep track?
Cameras are not that hard.
Sure.
Because they're labeled and.
Yeah.
The hardest part is keeping track of picking them up this time of year.
I know. That's where I struggle. I lost my...
I use the map features religiously.
Yeah.
So because I've gone there the next year and be like, oh.
There's my camera. Yeah, I did that once too. I got all my cameras down, and I'm putting them away in a box for the summer basically just to store them. And this was before cell cameras. And one of my favorite Moultrie cameras, I'm like, I don't have that sucker. Where... There's no clue where it was, and sure enough, the next fall, I go to this one area to hang a camera, and there it was. I was like, oh.
That's how, yeah, I was doing the math because I can see how many I have on my app, and I'm like, man, I have no idea. And I'm asking my buddy, I'm like, do you have, because I'll lend him some and vice versa. Went through them all. He's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just chalk it up. Maybe it broke and I threw it away or something, and went out there, and it's just a perfect fence gap, and I was like, oh. And it was open, like I don't know if it was someone or probably something.
Yeah. So
it was ruined because it had been rained on. I was like, son of. But
you're on Muddies? I see that.
Muddy and Stealth, yeah.
Okay. Stealth for your cell cameras or both?
Both.
Both. Muddy has cell cameras too.
Yeah, I honestly probably run more Muddies than I do Stealth.
Okay.
I really like them. They're the same company, GSM. They run off the same app. But I'm starting the new Stealths. I've gotten a few of those and starting to really like those. Picture qualities are awesome.
Okay.
Cool. And they got which I'm not really caught up with all the other brands because that's what I use. But they have the live stream on some. Like I've got some live stream footage of that deer on a mineral over the summer.
Like you saw him.
Like I got a picture on an old salt lick there that he was at a lot. And so I hit the live stream button and got like 2 minutes of footage of him just sitting there with his head up and down. And
oh my gosh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Huh. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Get that.
Yeah. And the one thing I do really I'm not sponsored or anything like that, but
wish you were though.
Yeah. Yeah. Their 360 cameras are awesome.
Are they? I've seen them. The revolver. That's what they're called.
And Muddy made a 180 one too this year. That it's the same principle, obviously,
but half.
Yeah. I bought two of those and really like it too.
Does it send you all of the pictures?
So you can. There's settings like you can. We'll just talk about the 180. It's just doubled for the 360. But so there's 3 lenses, 1, 2, 3, 3 zones. You can turn 1 off, 2 off.
Oh.
You can have all 3 of them active to where whatever one gets motion, it'll take a picture, or you can do what everybody thinks happens.
Yep, that's what I thought.
And do 180, and it takes all 3 every time.
That's
and
what I
it charges
assumed.
you for 3 pictures, but because that's everyone's big fuss with the 360. But you can turn it on individual photo mode, and it just whatever zone detects motion.
Sure.
It takes 1 picture.
So that makes way more sense.
So
I just assumed like on the 360 you got 6 pictures every time, and
you can do that.
Yeah, and I only assumed that or knew that because somebody had showed me like, yeah, look at this, and they're going through and there's 5 blanks, like, oh, there's the deer. I'm like,
yeah, and that I had to play with it, and I was like, okay, surely this isn't the only way, but
sure. But
I have one in the middle of a pond. Awesome. It's on a T-post, and it gets the whole pond, and it's phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. I'm just thinking of some places you could do that.
Yeah. And the 360, there's not a ton, that's perfect scenario. if you have a clover plot or something, you can
Yeah,
put it right in the middle.
Yeah, I could see it in a.
The 180s, I think you can use a ton because like you have intersecting trails, or you put it on a point or a corner, and you get to see where the deer comes from and goes, not just
Passing by
a picture.
Yeah.
You know, you
Cool,
just
dude.
cover a lot more ground.
Yeah.
So,
How many cameras were you running for that deer?
so that deer, and I'm not shy. You know, I go and I'm not afraid to get in there either. So like if I'm not getting that deer on camera, I will move them until I do, or I'm out of options. But that farm, I think I had like 12, which is, you know, is a lot.
That's quite a few, yeah. But
and that
why
farm
wouldn't you?
is quite a bit of timber, which, you know, either way, you know, it's a lot. But trying to cover the edge of bean fields is almost impossible, and I'm not going to have one every 20 yards, 100 yards.
Right, yeah, that's just not practical at all.
So, and I don't think it was pretty much, I think until he disappeared in September, I had like 8 on there. And then I was like, where's this deer at?
Right. So you tried to shift a little bit, just trying to pick him back up.
Yeah, tried to pick it apart a little bit more. And I didn't. You know, honestly, all the cameras I put didn't help me. He went back, when he showed back up,
Back to his
he was
normal
back to the
stuff.
original one. So
He's proof of history too.
yeah,
History pays off. Like
I
I
think
keep a lot of
overlook that a lot.
Yeah, I keep a lot of. You know, when he was a 3-year-old, I could see people trashing that picture. Like,
Yep.
no offense, he just wasn't big. He wasn't impressive.
I mean,
but,
I did. I had to go back, and I was like, oh,
I mean, you had it though.
yeah, because I was like, he's got a double main beam. He could be something.
Sure.
And then he wasn't.
But yeah, I hang on to a lot of pictures, especially if they've got a little bit of character, something that will set them apart. Like, because you just never know, they could turn in something, and you could go back and use that data year after year.
I mean, these deer could be the exact same age, and last year they wouldn't have scored much different. You know,
Sure.
It's just you literally never know, which makes it. I think if you're a landowner, that, you know, which a lot of people just hunt one farm, and I get it. It's what you have, and that's what you do.
It's the time you have, and
yeah,
sure.
And it makes managing deer really hard. You know, like you like Don Higgins swears on cull bucks, you know, and he's got the farm to do it.
Sure.
Great. But I mean, that deer to me would have been a cull buck.
Sure.
If I'm trying to grow 200-inch deer.
Right. Yeah, you'd say, oh, he's straight 10, doesn't have the potential to make 200, and then
short,
he's 185 the next year.
Yeah. So like, and personally, I will never know, but I think that deer would not have been as big next year. I mean, the odds of him throwing that inside time, I feel like, are pretty slim.
Yeah, you never know.
And maybe, I mean, I don't know where else he's going to put it. More mass,
right?
I guess.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room for more mass. I mean, he's kind of pushing the limits on the heaviest deer get.
Yeah,
he's a cool buck, man. So was this one. That's a good year.
Yeah, if I had
shot that one in Kansas, you really had a good year.
I don't think I'd ever would have topped that year.
You're right, for sure.
This one still is going to be hard since I was able to kill this deer with my bow.
Yep, that's true.
But yeah, people ask me all the time, so you don't gun hunt? I'm like, no, I will. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm
like, Kylie will not, you know, he won't gun hunt. I've got several other friends that will not do it, and I'm like, I'm not on that level yet.
No, me either. Nope, not at all. If I haven't killed one by gun season, I'm definitely using a gun. I need to get one killed is how I feel, you know?
Yeah.
And I was that way this year. I'd stuck that buck and ended up not finding him, and I was like, man, I need to change a pace here. And I ended up not killing anything with my rifle either. It's just kind of a rough year, but yeah, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking shed hunting and whitetail consulting and big bucks.
Yeah. I love talking deer.
Me too. We'll have you back on, get closer to deer season.
Yeah. Maybe I can share some pictures or something if I have any then.
Well, I don't want to give everything away. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you. If you're listening, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.